everything will be fine. So
You'll piece it together. It's not a lot of stuff.
yeah.
So, well, how did we ended up down that? Yeah, down that path.
You brought it up.
Yep, you sure did.
It's you.
Why would I do something like that?
Why did I do that?
I'm a douchebag. This week on Positively Godless, something happens. Something weird happens. Ooh, wow. We're reeling from that. Stay tuned!
This was like I ran out of every intro ever.
Oh my gosh.
That one's terrible.
That was awful.
It's still recording!
Yeah.
Crazy! Over under feeling crazy! It was no wonder you're just making me crazy!
Yeah, I think if we talk about that, you might end up apologizing to black people next week.
I'm not a racist.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to this week's episode of Positively Godless. I'm Jerry. That's Tyler. That's Scott.
Other way.
That's Tyler. That's Scott. Whatever. I'm in the middle. That's all that matters. Because I'm always the center of attention.
My favorite start episodes when I say something stupid.
Is there ever an episode when you don't say anything stupid?
No, not right off the bat.
No, not at all.
So, how you guys doing tonight?
I'm doing really well. And before we go any further, hi, Gavin.
He almost spit out his beer.
Who's moving back closer to Dad this tomorrow? I'm actually very excited.
This is actually happening.
Yeah, they're moving tomorrow. They got a moving truck. Which
Because last we spoke about it, which wasn't in the episode or anything. Last we spoke about it like 3-4 weeks ago. We didn't think it was happening.
Well, apparently now it's happening. So
well, that's good.
Yeah, that's really good. So I'm excited that I get to see him more. I mean, it's not much closer. I mean, it's another 45 minutes closer, but still it cuts down on drive time. So we have made an arrangement where it's going to be easier. So I'm pretty cool with that. So
Okay.
Yay!
And then in a year or so, he'll be old enough to legally say who he wants to live with.
I think he does it now.
12. No, 13 usually.
Oh, is it 13?
Yeah.
Also, I want to make sure I put this out right away. No show next week due to the Thanksgiving holiday.
Mm-hmm.
So we will not be having a show next week.
And I will not be eating turkey.
Why?
Well, maybe I will have turkey, because I do, but I hate turkey.
You don't hate it, so you love it?
No, I don't like turkey. I hate it. I hate it. I hate turkey. I hate turkey.
Okay.
And last week you said something about an upcoming guest? Is that still happening?
Yes, Scott.
Yeah, Stephanie will be back.
Okay.
Okay, so then
is that going to be
next
the week?
Because we're not.
No, we haven't confirmed the dates yet, so we have
you
not
said
confirmed.
3 weeks.
You did say 3
I was
weeks.
estimating 3 weeks.
But
there isn't.
About it.
I did, but let me get with her about that. But there's also another guest that I'm working on. That's a very, 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 very big guest. The biggest we've ever had. Will be coming on our show.
I can't show that. We'll lose our YouTube channel.
Shh. So I have been in contact with him via Facebook, and he is more than happy to come on. So
Ladies and gentlemen, we're getting God himself.
no, Jesus, sorry, I had to go step down.
It wasn't big enough.
So that's
Wow.
pretty cool. I'll tell you guys about that later.
Okay, then.
Okay.
Well, before we get into some discussion slash
Turn that light off.
maybe what light?
What
Oh, I
light?
thought he was putting that yellow light on.
No,
Oh.
Facebook is. beeping.
Before before we get into some talk, and Jerry and Scott have some things they want to say about last week's episode.
No, I want to do
Uh,
comments first.
That would you just
What?
let me
Just let
finish
Tyler
talking?
talk.
Good Lord! Before we get to that,
We
we're
need
going
to do this
to
in
get.
Hangout so that we can mute him.
Yeah, we really, really do.
Go ahead, Tyler. Sorry.
All right, so we got a lot of really good comments on last week's episode. I'm going to start with the oldest first. An hour and 15 seconds in, I laughed so hard I had to go poo too. Thank you, Deshoof, for that comment. I appreciate that. Next, we got our old friend K-Tap.
Yeah.
With a comment. Hasn't commented in a little while, but I used to think that Josh Fierstein was just an idiot, but now I'm convinced he's actually pretty smart and is doing all of this on purpose. He is making a lot of money doing stuff, and we have talked about this with a lot of these other people, like with Kim Davis and with some of these other things that we've had the discussion. Do you think that some of it is just for the publicity and getting on national television and all that kind of stuff? So I think it was interesting that he
Pointed that out.
pointed that out. So, and then a new one to me, at least. Maybe this person's commented before, but I didn't recognize it. Dyslexia Jones.
I've
no, I
talked
don't.
to Dyslexia on Hangouts, so
Okay, all right, new
comments.
to me at least. Responding to K-Tap. That is the best part of being a con man. Say the most insane stuff and laugh all the way to the bank, calling your supporters idiots. This is the oldest trick in the book.
Which book?
The book.
Okay.
Yeah, But yeah, so then K-Tap responded, before this, I guess I didn't pay too much attention to him or something, but I thought he was just another idiot preacher on the internet. Now I'm convinced he's a con man and a pretty good one. And then Jerry chimed in saying, I thought that preacher and con man were synonymous.
I just felt the need to start commenting on some comments that we had on the episode.
yeah, we had quite a few.
So, the next one comes from the elephant in the room, and this is in regards to long
My
work
rants
weeks and
about-
working in retail and all of that kind of stuff. Which, by the way, if you've watched for a long time, you know that I also spent 15 years in retail, and I'm very familiar with working through holidays and working many, many hours and all of that kind of stuff. So I definitely sympathize on that point. But the comment here is 50 to 60 hours. That would be an easy week for me. If retail employees have to work 50 to 60 hours in a week, 1 week out of the year, and get paid more for it, I don't feel bad about that. I've worked 12 hours a day for 365 days in a row while deployed in the Army, and usually work from 6 a.m. to 5 p.m. every weekday, with 24 hours days, sometimes on the weekend. Not to say that people don't have the right to complain, but to worry about a long week when they get overtime, sorry, but that isn't a complaint.
Can I read my comment?
Sure.
Okay. So, I mean, I'm first of all, let me say, because I put it down at the bottom after I wrote everything, my brother is a Marine, and I am grateful for the men and women who serve in our armed forces. I mean, I can't stress that enough. I've never had the ability to do it myself, I could have. I mean, nothing stopped me except me. I didn't. It just. But as far as the whole other comment about retail workers, so except for the managers who are on salary, they're not getting paid overtime. They get paid the same whether they work 40 hours or they work 70 hours. Plus, it is not like the malls aren't already open for 13 hours in a day for the rest of the year. On top of that, it isn't like there aren't 52 other weeks in the year as well. There's plenty of time to do shopping. It is more than one long week that retail employees work during the season. It might not be a big deal if customers didn't treat the employees like and like they are nobodies because they want what they want. The retail employee is still a person and deserves to be treated that way. The customer is not always right, and people have taken the mile when that inch was given. Customer service is a hard job. People really do treat other people like for no reason. Customers need to learn how to behave, and that was like my whole point. First of all, there's no need to be open 20 hours for any one day during the holiday season. It's not necessary. If you can't get your shopping done in the 13 hours in the day that the mall's open every day for every week of every year, then there's something wrong. And people just treat retail workers and food service workers like they're crap. So, I mean, that's really my rant. Not to say that being in the army or being in the military isn't a hard job, because I recognize that it is. But, it's just, that's all.
All right. Well, and I understand where you're coming from, and having as much time in retail, and as much as I used to complain about the hours and the how stressful it all was and all of that kind of stuff. I mean, there was a certain part that, I mean, I was there by choice because I
Mm-hmm.
chose to get the job there. But in a certain way, I kind of felt trapped in what I was doing because, that's where I had started out. I had worked my way up. I, didn't necessarily have an education to go out and do
Mm-hmm.
something else. And there are a lot of factors, and it's a lot of, like somebody who works at Burger King, and people will be like, well, if you can't handle that job, then you should just go out and get something else. Well, for a lot of these, I view myself as being very, very privileged. I mean, as far I've never been super rich. I don't live lavishly by any means of the word, but I've always had a roof over my head. I've always been
Mm-hmm.
able to pay the bills, and there are a lot of people that are, working harder than I am and can't make ends meet, and it's tough. So, I can definitely sympathize with the retail sector, and I can definitely empathize with um, other groups that are stuck, or they feel stuck. And yeah, you could, go out and get a different job. Well, you could quit your current job, but then, while you're looking for something, what bills are not going to get paid? Are you going to get evicted? Are you, going to lose your car? Which is then going to make it even that much harder to find a job. I mean, there's so
Happened
many
to
other
me.
factors.
It happened to me.
So,
And, not that I want to spend like a whole heck of a lot of time on the subject, but working in retail, one, it sucks you in,
hmm
right? Because you start off your job and it's fun and it's fresh and
well, and there's just so many of them available, and the
right.
bar is set so much lower, I guess. I mean, I don't want to. Again, I don't. Yeah. I don't want to knock on people in retail that like, oh, you have a lowly job. I did it myself. So
no, and that's why, for the most part, I treat retail employees with a good amount of respect.
absolutely.
But if I'm treating you with respect and you're not treating me with respect back, then we have a problem.
Yeah.
And I will tell you, and I will tell you, and then I will tell your manager why I told you what I told you.
Yeah.
And but to say, well, go out and get another job because I've tried, and the job I have now kind of not lucked into, but actually working in retail made the connection for me to get the job that I have. And it's just so hard because when you're in retail, you're not getting all of those skills that a Monday through Friday job wants you to have. Yes, you have you have tons of work experience. I have management experience. I have scheduling experience. I have budget balancing experience. But because it wasn't in an office setting, people don't look at your resume. So all you do is swap from one retail job to another retail job to another retail job because that one gets boring or this one gets the manager's an idiot or whatever the reason. And so, mad props to people who work in retail. And I did enjoy it for the most part, but I get over it.
All right.
Scott, how was your retail experience?
I managed a Sam Goody.
I worked for the Wall, which is now FYE.
Yeah. So that's my retail experience.
Good.
For a very, very short time, I'm just like, I'm going to let you guys rant. I'm going to go fight on Facebook for a while. So you guys rant.
All right. Couple more here. Fastlane Adam. If you don't have haters, you're doing something wrong.
Yep.
I agree with that.
Oh, yeah. And we've said from very early on that we are usually more hated by atheists than by theists. So,
yeah, I agree with that. I like that comment. And he's 100% right. We're not changing for anybody.
We'll get into some of the haters in just a minute here. But
I like how you're setting this up.
Oh, yeah. But Headcase.
I was going to say, we have
that?
to have that one.
Who's that?
Headcase wanted to comment. I just want to start out by saying, hi, Gavin. I love watching those people like Joshua put themselves high up on that pedestal. I enjoy watching them fall. And then we had some random comment from Nar Warrior. It just said, this is sad. All right.
I replied.
Yeah, so then Scott replied under the Positively Godless account, what is sad? And he just replied, this. And your response then was, well, thank you for specifying.
That's the perfect segue.
It is a great segue.
All right.
Because, Tyler, this Nar Warrior person, whoever he or she is, was the one last week when I had started the whole thing with Alex. He was defending Alex. This person was defending Alex. So there's the history there of that, whole exchange that we had on when I posted on G Plus when I went off. And then obviously he's saying this is sad about us talking about it on our show and what we were saying. So,
well, if Alex Botten wants to talk about it on his show, oh, wait. Sorry, Jerry. Continue.
With that being said,
I got to mute.
Are you okay there, Scott?
No, he's not.
Don't poop yourself because we can't take a break.
Oh my god, that was so damn funny. I'm not making fun of anybody. I'm being positively godless, I swear. Because we laugh on this show. Damn it.
Okay. So, with that being said,
God.
Scott, can you compose yourself enough to. You want me to go first?
Please!
Scott,
I need to digest what Tyler just said.
Scott is in no
No,
condition.
don't digest. Because you
My
may
dog
end up
has
needing another enema.
my dog has the same problem I do, but just letting you know.
Oh.
Anyway.
So, stop putting pants on him that are too tight.
Don't derail. Let's go on.
No, it's funny. It's funny. So, with that being said, I think we at Positively Godless, or at least a majority of us, have, in hindsight, taken a step back and looked at last week's episode and some other things and thought maybe we didn't represent the values and everything that we're trying to put down on the table. Because as far as I know, and I'm as new to this community as for however long we've been doing this. That's as new as I am to it. So as far as I know, in the last 8 months that we've been recording and doing this, that nobody else is doing it the way we're doing it. You know, and I'm not talking about the three of us on the screen or anything like that. I'm talking about how we handle situations and, you know, what we discuss amongst ourselves and with our guests. Things got away from us a little bit last week, and I got a little caught up. I don't know that I don't want to speak for Tyler and Scott.
I did too.
I got a little caught up in everything that we had said from the beginning that we didn't want to get caught up in. I got very frustrated and I lashed out. We're not a debate show, so when we want to have a guest on, if you want to watch, that's great. We want people to watch. But we're not bringing people on as guests to debate them. There are enough shows like that, podcasts, Google Hangouts, YouTube channels, whatever it is, where there's you're wrong, I'm right, you're an idiot, blah, 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 and it gets nowhere. Not that what we're doing with our guests makes a world of difference, but it does get us and them to extend our hand out halfway across the aisle and come to a meeting. We know that we're not going to change their minds. They know that they're not going to change our minds. But at least we can have a positive exchange with each other. With that said, I'm willing to apologize for saying that I would not call anybody with a mental illness a douchebag. I was not trying to diminish mental illness. And I wasn't trying to diminish douchebags either. But I shouldn't have said anything derogatory about people with mental illness. I don't want to offend people like that. So I apologize for that.
Yeah. I'm going to read a comment, and it's not our comment. I want this to sit with you for a second. I want to make this a discussion. People treat other human beings as other human beings. and not ideologies. Thoughts on that?
Shouldn't it say people should treat people as other human beings
Yeah.
Well,
and
I'm
not
just reading it.
ideologies?
Okay, I'll read the full comment. It says 16 downvotes for suggesting that people treat other human beings as other human beings and not ideologies. What are your thoughts on that?
Okay, where did this come from?
I'll get to that in a minute. I want just to talk about that for a second. What do you think about that?
Well, I can't form an opinion about it if I don't know who wrote it and what they were writing about. Who suggested that people
basically,
treat people like
hang
human
on.
beings?
Basically, what this person is saying is that they're suggesting that people treat other human beings as human beings and not
Right.
ideologies.
That's
So was
what
there
we
this
talk about all the time.
right? So do you agree or disagree with that statement?
Agree.
Well, I agree that people should treat people like human beings, but who's saying 16 downvotes for suggesting that?
I'm reading this from a different video that's not ours.
Okay, so what are you trying to? What's your point?
That is a quote from Alex Botten from a
Okay.
video that he posted. Um, and here's where I take issue with it. I said some things last week in last week's episode that were very, very rude, and I definitely apologize for. Um, it's labeling people as stinky Brits was completely uncalled for. Well, I'm trying to apologize. Why are you laughing
I
at that?
I can't even still believe that happened.
Right. Um, it's labeling. It's that heat of the moment, and that's no excuse for any type of comment like that whatsoever. Um, to take our frustration on one human being and lump it into a whole other country, it's completely crap, and that is wrong. And I deeply, deeply apologize. That's not the premise of our show. That's never been the premise of Positively Godless because we weren't Positively Godless last week at all. Sure, we go on rants and we complain about people that do stupid things, but guess what? Last week, we all did stupid things last week. And we're going to own it. We are owning last week's episode. We got out of our element. We let our emotions take over
Over.
our actual thoughts. And that's not what Positively Godless is. And that comment or quote that I read by Mr. Botten is correct. We should be treating people as human beings and not ideologies. And he's absolutely right.
I mean, that's what we talk about all the time. But didn't you say that the quote says, or the statement says, 16 downvotes for suggesting?
Yeah, 16 downvotes for suggesting that people treat people. What he's doing.
What he's saying there is thumbs down for suggesting people treat people like human beings. So
Right.
what I'm interpreting interpreting that as he's saying, screw it, just treat people how you want to treat people, whether it's good or bad.
I watched the video. I did watch the video. So
So
I
is my
do.
interpretation wrong?
Yes, your
Okay.
interpretation is wrong. I know what he was getting at, and I agree with that quote that he said. So we were wrong last week, and I apologize for us being wrong. I apologize for us misrepresenting of what we've built together, and that's really my apology. I want to say a but so bad right now.
You can't apologize with a but,
I know you can't.
because then it just negates the apology.
Right. I sympathize with people with a mental illness. I really, really do. Yeah, I think a lot of people are guilty of having a mental illness in some way, shape, or form, whether it's major or minor. Um, I, it's hard for me not to say a but.
So don't say a but. Say
However,
you apologize for what you said and you
I
own it, which you
yeah,
did.
we do own it. I do own it.
There is something that is still grinding your gears.
There is. Um, what's grinding my gears is that I can't make a post about somebody eating funny. It doesn't matter if they're a theist, atheist, black or white, um, without being called names now because we've now made a name for ourselves. We've now are gaining momentum. Now we're being labeled as not being positively godless. We're being fakes and frauds. And one of the comments was, "Do you make fun of somebody's haircut?" In that thread that I posted on G Plus. Um, if you watch our show, we make fun of each other's haircuts all the time,
No, just me and Tyler make fun of your haircut.
and I make fun of Tyler's haircut. But what I'm saying is that there's nothing wrong with a little bit of ribbing.
What you're saying is you want to bridge the gap.
Yeah.
We want to bridge the gap.
Balls in the court.
However, it's being made difficult for us to do that.
Yeah. I mean, I've tried. I've really, really tried. I've tried to have the best conversations I can. I've even said, look, I'm really trying to have a conversation with you. I'm trying to talk to you in the best way possible, and we're called just insanely derogatory names, and that's fine. That's something that we have to live with. We're not complaining. We're not going, oh, people don't like us. Blah blah blah. That's fine. If you don't like us, tough. We're not going anywhere. We're not changing any format. We are who we are. We are what we built, and we will continue to be that unless you have some constructive criticism of how we've changed and it's really really noticeable, then we'll consider like, yes, they're right, but right
So,
now you're wrong.
so what you're saying is you're only willing to listen to criticism if it's nice criticism.
No, I'm only willing to listen to criticism if it's really really obvious, like, hey, you've really changed your show and here's why.
So
Because
you want people to kiss your butt.
no, that's not what I want at all.
Well, that's what you're saying.
No, I'm not
I
saying
mean,
that.
I don't want people to kiss our butts. That's not what I'm saying either. But I mean, and we knew that when we came into this that we were gonna get trolls or we were gonna get, um, nasty comments and people were not gonna be so nice, right?
Right.
But the one thing that we have to do, and the one thing that I think our core group of viewers and fans like is the way we conduct ourselves. And we got away from that, and we cannot get caught up in that.
Right.
Again,
Hey,
we have to be really careful not to get caught up in that again, whether it be on comments, whether it be on the episode, and stuff like that. And that's mainly also what want to apologize for too. I didn't want to get caught up in that.
yeah,
So
I agree.
I invite you to say what you're gonna say. I invite you to try and push my buttons anyway. You know what? At this point, I just have to be the bigger person and not respond and ignore.
Yeah.
Tyler, do you have anything you want to
Yeah.
say?
Tyler, go ahead, please.
Just been letting you two go for this.
We need to be more like Tyler. Just do the show on a Thursday.
I don't know after what I'm about to say if you want to be more like me.
Uh-oh. And here it comes.
Well, the first thing is, I can't look at the right side of the screen anymore because all I can see are those stupid antenna sticking out of Scott's head. It just, ever since that comment brought it up, it's, oh my
It's
gosh,
all
I
you can
can't,
see. I'm the same way.
it's all I can see. I can't stop noticing it. I want to put another window over Scott's face so I can just watch Jerry and, like, that's it.
You can't see the antennas anymore.
For now, until you slouch back down because you
Yeah.
slouch.
So funny.
Goodness gracious.
Me oh my oh.
If that's your
Um,
complaint, we're doing.
Jambalaya, crawfish pie.
First, I would like to say that I agree with both of you kind of on the whole comments thing. Jerry, I agree that, we want to hear what you have to say. Whether you're atheist, theist, whatever, however you identify, and it doesn't matter. But I do agree with Scott to the point of, like, not necessarily that it has to be constructive, but I'm not going to give any of my time to things that are just, oh, this is stupid, or this is really sad. Okay, this is really sad. That's great. If this is so sad for you, stop watching. Don't leave a comment. If you have something more constructive to say, absolutely. But it's like, nothing is going to make me shut down more than some passive aggressive or blatantly aggressive nondescript comment that doesn't lead anywhere. And I'm not going to buy into it. So if you see the Positively Godless account, replying to it, it's not me. If one of you guys wants to do it, I don't care. That's totally fine. You guys can follow the rabbit down that hole if you want to, but it is not worth anybody's time and effort to, follow the troll under the bridge, basically. So that's the first part. The second part, getting back into last week's episode, and I don't want to go all Trump on everyone's asses, but I'm not apologizing for anything last week. And you guys apologizing, that's totally fine. But you know what? This is our show. This is the way that we do it. And last week, did we get a little bit off-brand, of what we're used to? Yes. Is this a part of a larger trend where we are just turning into one of those other shows? Absolutely not. This was a very unique circumstance in which a person who, come to find out, may or may not actually have a real mental illness, started a
Parade of comments.
but it was something that was so minor that just exploded into an absolute war zone. And again, things got very heated. Quite frankly, I am still shocked that Mr. Botten watched the episode last week, especially after everything that had transpired leading up to that point. But you know what? He made that choice to do that. And if he's watching again this week, hi. Thanks for tuning in again. But I personally am not going to apologize for any of the things that I said last week. And I again, like I said, I don't want to go all Trump on this, but it's our show. These are our opinions. If you have been watching the show for more than just last week, you know that last week was not our brand. You know that is the road that we almost never, ever choose to go down. And we won't continue going down that road because we've all had the discussion, we've talked about it through the week and all of that kind of stuff. That's not who we are. But even whether it's your favorite TV show or another podcast that you listen to or anything like that, there's going to be off weeks. There's going to be ones. I mean, Scott, I'm sure you can pick out at least one or two Dawson's Creek episodes that are not the best. I mean, the ones you look back on and you're like,
Yeah, that one
those...
where it left a cliffhanger, and then they went the next week to like a weird Blair Witch thing. It pissed me off,
Yeah, see?
and I had to wait a whole week.
Or it's like the entire time that Saved by the Bell went to the beach for a summer. I mean, it's just...
I don't watch that show.
Okay. I can't do the show anymore. I can't handle it.
Even though
when they went to the beach, that was when Leah Remini was on.
It was, and I never really liked her.
Who is the black woman? Who is the black girl in there?
Lisa?
Oh, I love Lisa. She is so hot.
I thought you said you didn't watch the show.
Yeah, I watched it for her like maybe once or twice. But
man, it's all about Kelly Kapowski. Do not go
Zach Morris and AC Slater and leave it at that.
I heard that Lisa had a sex tape, and I want to download that.
Anyway.
And it would be a positive guys we derail.
Anyway, so to wrap things up on that, and that's where I'll leave it. You guys can go back into whatever other discussions that you want to have regarding this or any of the other G Plus activities. Scott, if you want to cover that, that transpired throughout the week. But I mean, that's all I'm going to say is that yes, things got heated. I don't know if I would go so far as to say that I regret saying certain things, because I don't necessarily. It's not something that I'm losing sleep over at night. But it's something that I've kept in check for 34 episodes up to that point, and sometimes you have to let it go a little bit. So
yeah,
I think what happened was we got goated a little bit.
Good, yeah,
and against our better judgment, we kind of started, and we're recognizing that we can't get caught up in that whole part of that part of the community, because that's not what we ever set out to do. And
it's just the opposite.
Yeah, right. So we just have to be more careful from now going forward that we continue to represent everything that we said we are going to represent from the beginning to this point. And so that's my promise to the two of you and to our viewers. And, that doesn't mean that if we have a guest on and I disagree with them, I'm just going to roll over. If I have a question or I think that a point needs to be made, I'm going to make it. I've done that. But it's, again, we're not here to debate. We're not here to say, we're here to talk to people. We just want to talk to people. If you don't want to talk to people or hear people talk, then go to one of those. Then that's all we've been saying. Just go to that other place, and if that's what makes you happy, that's fine. I'm saying right now, any of those comments in the future will be ignored.
Yeah, Alex Button is a very, very well-known person, at least on the G Plus community. And I think that when you get a comment from somebody...
I'm sorry. I can't stop looking at it. I wanted to be like you.
Ladies and gentlemen, right now, start commenting if you think Scott needs to change the position of his background because you think
Because
that
he
it needs to
can't
be
stop
done.
looking at the antennae.
The thing with Alex Bobby, you know,
That's perfect.
We just got 40 up likes on this.
you know, he's a well-known person on G Plus. Tyler, you're frozen.
Good. Maybe you shouldn't have been messing around with your video.
He's a well-known person on G Plus, and pretty well respected. You know, yeah, he's going through a tough time, and I do feel bad about that. Um, and I think that where we got our, at least where I got my emotions way into out of control, is because he's commenting, and I was a little bit shocked that he was commenting the way he did, but he did. And then I replied in the way that I did. Um, he's not our only person who's giving us bad. I'm not going to say press, but just doing their mocks. There is a person, you know how we had the good without the God thing, good without a God.
Mm-hmm.
There's a person that actually made a whole conversation based on that logo. That's all I'm going to say. That are mocking who we are, that we're not good without a God. Which I did debate the person, and it's that's all I'm going to say about that. That's the only shout out that person's going to get.
So are we ready to put this part of this episode to bed?
Good night, Alex.
Okay.
Thank you.
I want to talk about, first of all, we should take the next moment for a moment of silence for what happened in Paris on Friday.
Yeah.
It happened after we recorded.
Mm-hmm.
It all happened so fast. Things are still developing. Did anybody see Jake Tapper on CNN today?
No.
The man was interviewing some other person. I don't know who he was interviewing because I was sitting at the reception desk at work and the TV behind me was on. And we keep it on CNN. You know, we keep the news on. CNN seems to be the most middle of the road in reporting. But I wasn't paying attention to it. I was reading an email. I don't know what I was doing, but I heard Jake Tapper say to the person he was interviewing, and I wish the TV had DVR so that I could rewind it and really watch it. He said, "Are the bomb makers really that good at making bombs? Because out of the 4 that have been detonated, only one innocent person died, even though one innocent death is still too many." Like, really? Why would you even say something like that? The bomb makers, are they good at making bombs? Of course they're good at making bombs. They blew up, didn't they? It's not the bomb maker. And then, first of all, before I go any further, I'm not condoning terrorism in any way. Okay?
Great. Hate me on that now.
But if the bomb didn't succeed in doing its job, it's because the person detonating the bomb was the idiot and didn't do it correctly. But I posted on Facebook. My mom had commented that these people sometimes they can't do off the cuff reporting, which is pretty evident by that statement that he made. Which leads me to what I really, really wanted to talk about a little bit was people in our country in positions of power have been saying that they're not going to let refugees in their states, which, first of all, they can't do. Second of all, they want to vet refugees and only accept the Christians and not the Muslims or anybody else. really burns me up. First of all, I feel for the refugees. I feel for those people that are fleeing their countries. It's kind of our fault that they're fleeing their countries. If you think about it, it's kind of the fault of the last administration destabilizing that part of the country. So there is some more obligation to help those people out. But come on. Really? With saying Christians and not really? Because are all Muslims terrorists?
No,
Are all terrorist Muslims?
no.
We have more white supremacist terrorists in this country than any refugee Muslim that might be a terrorist that sneaks in somehow. I don't get it. I don't get it.
Tyler?
All I would like to just point out is to take a look at who the people are that are proposing these types of restrictions, and what types of states are saying that they're going to refuse to allow refugees in, and take a look at what religion do they affiliate themselves with.
They're all the right wing Christian wing nuts.
Bingo.
Which I know. I mean, I know it's not. It's not.
It
It's
makes
not obvious, you know.
Well, but in a lot of cases, it is pretty obvious because they're
Right.
very outspoken and vocal about
yeah,
it.
I said it's not that it's not obvious. It is obvious.
Right. It just makes it baffles me, and it makes me wonder if these people claim to be, they claim to be a certain way. Have they ever heard of Jesus?
They talk about him a lot. They sure do.
That's, I think, the part that baffles me the most.
Scott, close your ears for a second. Because I'm going to go somewhere. What they really are doing is using the fear mongering. And they're using this horrible situation to gain votes, to try and get, where did he really go somewhere? To try, like, they're really using these fear tactics to sway the election. They're losing. They don't have a viable candidate. And this is exactly how they won the a couple weeks ago when we talked about Hero in Dallas or Houston, whatever, I forget which city it was. When they used the fear mongering, they used that to prey on people's fears, to sway them to vote for the discrimination.
Why did you not want Scott to listen to that?
Because he doesn't like anything when we talk about anything that has to do with politics.
Oh. Well,
Yeah.
But basically, what you're saying is that these guys are using like either violence or intimidation in the pursuit of political aims, right?
Right.
What is that the definition of?
Christianity?
Terrorism.
Yeah, true.
I'm not joking you. I
No,
just
you're
pulled
right,
out the definition of terrorism. the use of violence and intimidation in the pursuit of political aims.
They're being terrorists. You're absolutely right.
Oh, this is going down a rabbit hole.
Well, I just thought, the whole saying only Christian refugees should be allowed.
Yeah, no, and honestly, in my opinion, this goes back to what was
My cat's back there making noise.
this goes back to a much longer and deeper conversation that we've had many times about Christians, especially not practicing what it is that they preach, or what they sit and listen to being preached from the pulpit, or what they claim to believe even though they haven't read the Bible in 25 years and haven't gone to church except for maybe Christmas and Easter, for the last 20. And it's like, you stand behind your ideological views, but at the end of the day, do you even really know what you're standing behind? And don't get me wrong, there are some people, as is with every religion, there are some people that they very well know their stuff. They've read the text, they've studied it, they are devout in their beliefs, and I get that. But people, especially from the right, keep saying, that this is a Christian America and we were founded on these principles, and X percentage of people, identify themselves as Christians. Sure, okay, that's fine. That percentage of people identifies themselves as Christians. But church turnouts, especially in Christianity, are at the lowest that they've ever been in this country. And, again, to identify yourself as one thing is one thing. To actually practice and know what it is, that's another thing.
I have a question. Well, Scott, did you have anything you wanted to say about the whole Christians only refugees thing?
No.
Okay.
Sorry. I mean, not that I don't want to participate. I just don't. I have one thing to say, and that's going to be a rant. So.
Okay. We'll leave room for that. But so my question is, and correct me if I'm wrong, but wasn't there something called the Crusades?
Mm-hmm. There were several crusades, actually.
Where people went around the world to, like, basically recruit people to be Christian.
Well, it wasn't really around the world. It was in Europe and the Middle East, but yeah.
Okay, right. So, didn't they kill a lot of people?
Yes. Yes, a lot of people died from both sides.
Use fear and intimidation to try and get people to be Christian?
Well, yes.
Do you see where I'm going? Couldn't they have been called terrorists?
Yeah, and I'm sure that they were. I mean, by those living in those regions, or I mean, I don't know. Maybe people viewed it more as a war, I guess, but yeah, could have been.
I mean, I don't think back then they had the word terrorist. I don't think they knew it, kind of.
Yeah, I mean, they wouldn't have defined it as...
Right. As that. It's just, I'm not trying to be controversial, but, I'm just trying to, like, piece it together. Like, how can you follow this religion that has this almost terroristic view on a lot of things. Pastor Kevin Swanson last week, death to the gays, that's terrorism. Okay. So, I mean, basically, I said I don't want to be controversial, couldn't Christians kind of be considered terrorists, and how could people kind of follow that religion knowing that it's riddled with all of those kind of actions? And then, but wait a minute, we addressed that in like episode 7 when we talked about hypocrisy.
But
So
still,
never mind.
we can revisit it. I mean, it doesn't mean we can't revisit it, but like I was saying, isn't it terrorism with love?
No.
Well, think about the
If you love somebody, you don't kill them.
okay, maybe killing is different, but uh, what did I say wrong this time?
I couldn't hear you.
You guys both completely froze again.
You want to hang up and start again?
We can.
Yeah, give me a minute. Hey, you heard that, didn't you?
Just go pee. We'll see what happens when you leave.
Okay.
I thought for a second you had froze, but apparently you didn't. I could see your eyes moving. Yeah, I'm just like, I don't know. It confuses me. Like, we have this moral obligation because we did, kind of cause all the issues in that part of the world, which is making these people flee for their lives. And then we're going to be terroristic about how we're going to help them.
Yeah. Well, you never view yourself as the terrorist. ISIS does not view themselves as terrorists. They view themselves as liberators. They view themselves as freedom fighters. They believe that, and I'm not advocating for ISIS here. All right, I want to say this up front. Okay, I'm not saying that ISIS is a good thing or it should be around. What I'm saying is that they don't view themselves as being terrorists.
Right.
They view us as the terrorists. Okay, so I mean, and again, Christians on the Crusades in the Middle Ages, the Dark Ages or whatever, they didn't view themselves as the terrorists. They viewed themselves as the liberators, the freedom fighters, the purveyors of hope. So it's all about what side you're on and how you view yourself. So if that makes sense.
No, it makes sense. I get it. I guess I'm just a little more self-aware. I'm not saying that I'm like, the perfect person. I have my flaws. I mean,
a little more self-aware?
Yeah, I mean, because I have the I try to be self-aware anyway. I try to recognize when I do something, if I feel bad about having done it, then, I don't know. And not to say I'm never ever going to view myself as the terrorist, because I'm not like that type of person, but, I kind of try to put it in perspective, like how would I feel someone treated me the way I just treated somebody else, or said things,
So you try to be a little more like Jesus.
if Jesus ever existed, sure. I don't try to be like a Kylie Minogue song with the antennas coming out of your head.
Yeah.
All right, I think it's time for... Whenever you're ready, Scott.
Go ahead,
on your
Scott.
rant.
Go ahead, antenna boy.
I keep forgetting. I'm trying to freeze the three guys up. I'm like, no, I got stupid lights, changing behind
We don't
you.
have time. It's... Go.
Needs to lead into it.
rant! Scott's rant! Scott's rant!
He may just use that. Pray for Paris. I get it. If that's your blanket, that's your pillow. But think about that phrase for a second. Pray for Paris. Why are we praying for Paris now on the 14th of November, where the terrorist attack happened on the 13th? So what you're telling me is that you need to pray to a God that today on the 14th of November that could have prevented it on the 13th. Isn't that a little hypocritical? So what are you really praying for? Are you praying for the fact that they can actually spring back to life the 128 people who died? They're dead. They died under the hand of your God that you're now praying to. Tell me if that makes sense. How does it give you comfort? It doesn't at all. And then for some crazy ass preacher in where Alabama, where the heck he's from, saying that a death metal concert, if you go to a death metal concert, you're bound to die and you deserve to die. Seriously? What's prayer going to do? Prayer is not going to bring those people back. Prayer is not going to give them, the victims' families, any solace in saying, okay, I know my son died in a brutal terrorist attack where these psychopaths gunned down people in Paris. I mean, if my family, if my wife, and God forbid, anybody who I loved was shot down and someone said, I prayed for you, Mike, it's just like, oh. But I'm sorry for your loss. I really am. My heart breaks for your entire country. It breaks. And this crap that happened shouldn't have happened. But it did. And prayer didn't work then, and prayer isn't going to work now. That's my rant. Sorry, Jerry, you missed it. I hope you
I'm
got
back.
that.
I'll see it on Sunday.
It was a really good rant.
I
was one of my best.
only really missed the last 45 seconds.
It was like one of my best. Right? Or did I stutter that one too?
I don't think you stuttered all that much.
Yeah, I've stuttered before. Anything else?
Be sure to check us out at facebook.com/positivelygodless, on Twitter at pgodless, or feel free to email us and criticize us at positivelygodless@gmail.com.
And youtube.com/positivelygodless.
Again, if they're watching the video, they've already found youtube.com/positivelygodless.
Good night, everybody.
Good night. Oh.
Bye, Gavin.
Thank you for watching Positively Godless. Look at the links below or in the screen or wherever they are. And talk to us. Bye.
Stupid.
What?
That was awful.
It's still recording.
Hello.
Hi.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good.
Hello.
How was your poo-poo?
I was showering, actually.
How was your poo-poo?
I didn't
No, he
poop.
was showering. You see his hair's wet. Maybe his hair's wet because he was showering, or because he was showering because he pooped all over himself.
No, I think his hair is actually wet because it's drenched in sweat because he was on the toilet
Trying my best to back
Just-
it out.
so hard that he's just profusely sweating.
All right.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to this week's... Hey, everybody. Welcome to this... Hey, everybody. Welcome to this week's... God damn it.
I don't know if it's an ant or if it's like
A
what
Martian.
other.
Like
Yeah,
my
it
favorite
is.
Marvin
I'm
the
a
Martian.
kitty.
almost.
I'm a kitty.
It is kind of like a Martian. I just can't. I really can't. I mean, in future episodes, I'm gonna have to just block your side of the screen.
No, come
Just look
on.
I can't. It's too distracting.
No, it's not.
How
It-
hard would it to be to just like put a black line like right above his head running through the whole episode?
Like a bar?
But yeah, like a bar. You know, usually they put the bar across the face
Yeah.
or the
Is that
boob.
better?
What would be better is if I mean, I'm not knocking you. I mean, it's the lighting in your house.
I'm
but
knocking you.
can you take it down?
Oh,
What purpose does it serve?
what?
That lighting.
I think it looks cool.
What purpose does it serve?
It's an ego thing.
It is an ego thing.
I'm not. I'm talking about those lights hanging down.
Oh, that's the standard lights.
What purpose does it serve? Is it functional? Does it do anything? Do you need it?
Yeah, it's functional. Yeah, because they're different colors on the back.
I see white lights.
Hang on. Hang on. Now I gotta do this. Here's your damn blooper. So if you turn these off, hang on. Hang on. Hang on.
This is so painful.
See
I
now.
would never want anybody to live through this.
See how now
I'm so sorry, Elsa.
they're different colors.
All right, now do me a favor. Okay, so the light shining on the
Backdrop are
sheets that
different.
you have.
They're not sheets.
They're sheets.
Yeah, they are. Sheets.
So, okay, so the green and the blue and the two
Yellow
white
and red.
lights in the middle.
I can't hear you now,
Uh,
Gary.
All
There's
right,
no white lights in the
but
middle.
you mix. They look white because you have multiple lights shining in one spot and they're overlapping. So when you do that, it looks white.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, turn off what you just turned on. Okay. Turn on everything that you just turned off, with the exception of the one that you just turned off. No, turn that off.
That's the one he said not to turn on, you doofus head.
And then go back there and turn on what you turned off.
Turn on what I turned on. What are you talking
The
about?
one that you just were there, now down there.
Oh,
Yeah,
the-
down
Turn
there.
that on.
Yeah, down there.
Okay.
And then you turn something else off
Yeah.
earlier.
Hang on.
Turn that back. Okay, now turn off those 4 lights. Okay. So now, with those 4 lights off, I can kind of make out the Prince symbol, because they didn't know it was there.
Well, it's always behind his head anyway.
Oh,
Yeah,
that
but I
light
didn't know it was
shot
there.
out again. God damn it.
I didn't know it was there. Right?
Did the battery run out, Scott? Do you just need to
Battery on what?
No, it's the
plug
other
it into
lighting
the
in here.
wall?
Okay, so now I'm going to tell you what.
What?
You don't need those lights. So rip them down. You don't need them. Turn them off again. Looks better without it.
Yeah, but guess what? I still have the antenna head.
To rip them down. Otherwise, I'm coming to Minnesota to rip them down for you.
Yay!
He's coming to Minnesota. All right, guys.
This
Good
week
night.
on Positively Godless.
Oh,
No.
You
Good night.
realize that I just had you do all of that for the blooper.
I love you, jerk. Oh, my light's back on.
Oh, that's too bad.
All right, good night, guys.
Good night.